Hi, I'm Christina, and we are on a channel building digital products where we speak about the technology that can boost your business here and now. And our today's guest is Olof Söderbaum. Olof has spent over 4 years at Crew, Europe's leading digital healthcare platform. With Crew, users can video chat with their healthcare professionals like doctors, nurses, and psychologists in just minutes. So far, they have facilitated over 8 million online consultations. Not only that, but they have recently expanded their services to include Sweden, Norway, the UK, and France. In their 8-year history, they have attracted an impressive $730 million in investment, and they are still growing. Olof serves as the head of product and design at Crew, overseeing the teams responsible for building and creating Crew's products and experiences. Thank you for coming today for our chat. It's great to have you here, and let's begin our conversation.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what's shaking up the healthcare solution landscape. What trends and innovations are you seeing that are changing the game right now?
So there's a couple of things that I would talk around, and definitely you are not able to sort of disagree that AI and language models and generative AI definitely is changing the healthcare industry. But to some extent, I think that will take a bit longer time than people may be expecting. And to be honest, we've been working with AI since start, and then there's competitors that they've been doing it for more than that. But definitely the possibilities are bigger right now. But I think the biggest for us right now is actually moving away from a more of a transactional one meeting focus to more of a care orchestration. So how you manage a patient from start to go. And in the end, doing what we want to do is actually do more with less. So actually take care of more patients, do more meetings, to take care of more elderly, but with less resources. And on the note of AI, I think many of our competitors are focusing quite a lot on the triage technology. And I don't think that's sufficient for changing healthcare, because navigating patients and helping clinicians to do so is definitely the system, and changing that is the key for the system. And then finally, I think everything around innovating and working and developing chronic diseases is definitely something that I see we at Crew are working with, because it sort of takes up the majority of the consumption in healthcare, and definitely we need to address it in order for us to help healthcare on a global scale.
And do you plan maybe to integrate more AI in your future services, or you don't think?
Yeah, no, indeed. It's like we currently have already put quite a few things into production, and they are rolling, and it's both pilots as well as scaled features. We are also now just a couple of days away for launching a more of a patient-facing intelligent source based on LMM, which means that definitely there is going to be a lot of things. I think the next in line will be all the manual things or reports that clinicians need to do in order for us to get both reimbursed, but also for the patient to get the right info. I think that's the next step for us when it comes to AI. So a lot of things happening, and a lot of things actually already improving our efficiency.
Yeah, I understand. You also, try to develop this department in our company and to pay more attention to AI, ML technologies to create more efficient products for our clients. Speaking about your company that you are working for, can you please tell me a bit more about this title? It's naming, because I was 2 ago in Sweden, and it was so interesting for me to understand, this local context of this word. So can you explain it to our listeners?
Yeah, sure. So I work for a company that is called Kry in two of our markets, so Sweden and Norway, and that word is actually sort of a synonym to feeling well, that you're feeling okay. Whereas in France and UK we're named Livy, so it's a bit different. But it's a funny name, and I think it comes from the discussion the founders had at the pub in central Stockholm, where they just realized that it's a good name for actually addressing the healthcare issues that were at that point.
Yeah, someone told me that it's like it means when you feel okay after the ill, and if someone give you a hug, and it was so.
Yeah, it's more sort of a very friendly word. I think from a marketing perspective, it's been very beneficial for us because it's easy to remember, and it's like stays with our patients as well as our clinicians. So it's a great name.
And is it, can we pronounce it in English the same as you mentioned?
Because our company language is English. So we say Kry in all our meetings, but definitely our English native speakers are saying cry or something similar. But I think everybody learned now that it's Kry. Even though pronunciation differs a bit from language to language, but definitely it's Kry.
Yeah, I will also say Kry because before I, also told that it's cry or Kry, and Kry it's easy to remember, so it's not a problem. Yeah. And my next question is, what made Kry unique on the market among other top telemedicine platforms, and also established a company as a leader in Sweden?
I think so. First off, I think it's the people, to be honest. From start, we've been extremely patient focused, but also we had a lot of obsessed people around us. So obsessed in changing healthcare, obsessed in patient experience, and also helping clinicians to do their work. So I think that's definitely maybe the main thing. And also for us becoming the biggest European digital player, I would say there's four things. So first off is that we, throughout the years, have always had really good relationships with the public payers, because those are the ones that we are working with, not against. Which means that if they are on the same path as we definitely have a much more fruit or like more well-working collaboration. Second one is that I think it's been a strength from our side, the ability to navigate the regulatory maze, in order for us to reach mass markets in the 4 countries we're at. Because it's extremely blurry and fragmented based on where you're at and the IT landscape, etc., and what have you. And I think our ability to navigate that has been definitely best in class. Thirdly, I think we, from start, diversified our business models, which means that we were not solely depending on one single source of revenue. So directly when we found our product market fit, we were able to sort of stretch that and get that in order for us to get revenues from different type of verticals. And finally, I think by actually also being into other markets which we closed down, we learned quite a lot, and we used that learnings from each of the individual countries on other countries, which means that stuff we learn in Norway could be adapted in France and the other way around. So I think cross-country learnings is definitely also one of the key things. But to be honest, I think it's the people that has made us the most successful telemedicine platform or player in general, because we've been obsessed from the start. And I would be able to say that all the people working in our company loves our mission and vision and loves our company, which means they will get obsessed with what we're doing. And that's why we're best.
Yeah, agree. It's important to have the vision and that everyone will follow the same opinion, the same mindset that you follow with your product. And you mentioned about the markets that you left. Can you please tell a bit more, like which countries it was?
So currently we are present in 4 countries. So Sweden is the biggest market, followed by France, then UK, and Norway. We've also been present in Spain and Germany, but decided to go or sort of walk out of those countries due to different reasons. So currently we're in 4 countries. We are having in Sweden, for example, we are not only a digital player, we have 50 physical units. In France, we have 3 units. We're looking into physical care in UK as well, and in Norway we actually have 3 clinics. So we are a full-fledged primary caregiver, but we also own specialists or secondary care, which means that we have a specialist skincare clinic, as well as a huge network of specialist secondary care within psychology and that type of mental health issues.
And you mentioned about your competitors. So maybe it's a tricky question. So how do you keep an eye on them? What metrics do you focus on? And how does it affect your next moves?
I think competitors are great. So we always need to not adapt, but we definitely need to be aware of what they're doing. So what I urge my teams, including myself, to do is at every start of the day, we always look at our competitors if something changed. We also use their service frequently. So I'll always try to have meetings with the main competitors in order to see if they have any features that I do love or think could add value for us, but also the fact I want to try out the full experience. And then secondly, like always be in the know of what your competitors are doing, because that keeps us on our toes. I don't want Kry or Livy to copy our competitors, because that's potentially not the best way of doing it, but we should definitely be on our toes because our competitors are great and we need to learn from them and also always stay ahead. And as long as we're obsessed and do know what we do know our users, I think we could add value at a weekly basis, which means that we will stay ahead of our competition. So I think competition is great, but you definitely need to be aware of it. And I encourage everybody to do it on a daily basis.
It's a great strategy. Yeah. And speaking about like your company and your new services, like what targets and KPIs do you set for new services at Kry, and how do you measure their success?
I tried many times to have a lot of different KPIs. You have OKRs, but like in the end, I always come down to, in order for us to know if we hit the sort of nail the problem is actually customer retention cohorts. So knowing that, flattening out that curve. So if we get a user in, they start using the service, we definitely want to see that they're continuing to using our product or service, which means that flattening that curve out, which means having a high retention. And if that retention is 5% or if it's 50, doesn't matter, but just that quick as possible to get that curve flat and understand why we made it flat and potentially then how we can increase the amount of percentage points. And then like the final thing, which I encourage my PMs to do is never underestimate the fact to understand what the users do and actually not what they say, because I think those things too differs. And it goes down to be obsessed with success and be in the know. So definitely know your users. So sort of acknowledge what they hate, but be obsessed about what they love and really understand what they actually do with the product or with the service. So I would say cohorts and retention.
And what tools do you use to look at users' behavior and other statistics? Do you look at?
I think we tried sort of every system in the world at this company. Right now, there's a lot of regional systems, of course. Like in Sweden, there's a lot of system within the healthcare system that we could actually use. So for physical meetings, symptoms, etc. But then internally, we have a system called Looker, which is our third analytical tool, which we tried out. And this is maybe the one that had the longest period of time. And I think we chose that, or the head of analytics chose it, because it's easy for us to build models ourselves and also to create the modules we need in order for us to know whether the product is great or not, and also based on the need from each individual team. Because I think the problem we had before is that there was only a couple of people looking into it because it was so complex. And for me, key is that everybody has a really easy way in for finding data and also to do some conclusions or draw some analysis from it. And that means both from product marketing, but all the way down to customer support. And I think that's what Looker has done for us. It's easy for us to import external data and also use our own data, which means that we get a full-fledged view of how it progresses and how our business is going.
And as we know, maybe not everyone know, but Kry serves a wide range of users. and also including those people who aren't tech savvy and people with disabilities. In our company, we have a YouTube channel. That's why we are just recording this interview for it. And we also had recently talk with Steve Krug, who spoke and explained his design principles of don't make users things. And my question is, how can you be ensure that CRI is both accessible and intuitive for everyone?
I think it's a great question. Hot topic, definitely from our side. And I have an amazing head of design that works relentlessly on getting our organization to be better at this at an everyday basis. And I think these intuitive and well-tested digital systems is definitely something that streamlines our physicians' times, both when they spend their time in software, but also that they can actually put more focused time into the patient and the care of the patients. But it also provides our patients so they can actually easily access health records, vital information that indeed gets and leads to more informed interaction with the clinician or with healthcare in general. And I think in general, for us to both understand that need, but also the fact of people with disabilities is to always start our process with maybe not the extensive research, but with research. And of course, also stakeholder interviews, user-based discovery, etc., in order for us to create different type of user scenarios and journey mapping in order for us to understand what problems do we need to solve and what type of stakeholders and user groups do we need to help out with. And after understanding these needs as well as pain points from the user groups, we move in as with the designers and the PMs into wireframing and prototyping, where we then prototype and come to a solution that we think is best possible. And then we send those prototypes to testing and feedback. Full groups, smaller groups, special niched groups, and in order for us to understand what we can do and definitely sort of nail the problem that we're trying to solve. But I also want to be clear, it's like this design process and the way we work is definitely and always evolving, because the needs of the users are the same. They always change. And definitely also with the advancement in technology, which means, of course, with someone is blind, someone has hearing disorders, etc. Everything around now with AI and LMMs could easily make this even better. So we definitely are changing our design process as we progress in the company, as well as how we work with product and features in general. But it's a really interesting topic because it's, of course, vital for us being so digital first. And as we can see, for example, in Sweden, is that almost 90% of the Swedes are doing their taxes digitally, but only 15% are doing digital healthcare, which of course then it's a fact that we are doing something wrong. So we definitely need to bridge that accessibility and the way people see digital healthcare.
Mm-hmm. And did you make maybe some researches or interviews why those 50% don't want to have?
Yeah, every day. Every day we try to do it, but it's like we're trying, especially right now, as I started the call, is the chronics is definitely something that is important for healthcare in general for us to solve. And definitely chronics is more biased against the elderly, which means then that's the target group which we potentially have not found the best product market fit yet, which means that we need to understand the chronics as well as the elderly. Why do not Christine, who's 68, use our service? And we do those type of interviews, both qualitative but also quantitative, in order for us to understand. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slower, but I definitely think our chronic approach is a much longer and more extensive research period and process for us to really understand how we can help elderly, for example, being more digital first, instead of have to take a cab, go to their physical clinic, have a short meeting, go back, and then the day after need to go back again. Like all of those things are something that we're monitoring closely.
And who is responsible for such type of interviews into your company? Is it role of product manager or someone else?
I would say all, but definitely the ways of working is down to the guy who's heading up design and user research. But I think that the cooperation between the product manager and the designer is key here, because that's truly the part that the designer needs to play is the user research as well as the usability of the product. Whereas I think the product manager becomes more the information hub, getting all the stakeholders, getting the business model behind it. But I think the designer in the end is responsible for this part of the process.
Understood. Also in our company, it is the role of product designers. Yeah. And my last question from this section is, can you share with us like some memorable missteps that you had when you were like building Crew? And what did you learn from them?
There's a lot of mistakes. So we actually had a thing at Crew when we started, which was called the fuck up cake. So every time you fucked up, you had to buy this chocolate brownie and share with the company. So you always had some type of brownie in the kitchen because there was always someone fucking up. But I think doing mistakes is totally fine. I don't want us to do the same mistakes twice, but I encourage my teams at least to do mistakes because that's how you learn. I think the biggest thing that I've learned the last 5 years is that multitasking and doing a lot of things at the same thing is sort of the ability to screw everything up simultaneously. So I think we've been a little bit crazy on adding new features, related products, verticals in a larger extent than we should have done. And we have released a lot of features in the app, including ICBT, a different type of learning modules that it was too early for the market or too early for the patients because they haven't realized how they actually did the video meeting. So we were trying to add stuff before they had actually showed that they were a repetitive user for us. So I think it's important that do one thing or a few things better than everybody else, then start adding new stuff. So focus on a bit less things than we've done. And I think what we learn is, once again, to really understand and simplify the stuff we're trying to solve and always stick to the problem and try to find a solution to that problem. And just be, and I think that one is one of the strongest things with Jeff Bezos as Amazon, is simplifying everything and sort of questioning all the stuff that is raised. Like, we want to build this feature. And it's like, why do you need that feature? Why do the user love that feature? Or why do the user use that feature? And I think that's what we learn. It's like being extremely laser focused on what we do and what the outcome of that project is actually giving our users or our clinicians or the company.
Thank you. I would like to ask you right now, like flash questions. I will give you 2 options and you will need only one.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Jira or Trello?
Trello.
Trello. Spreadsheet or mind map?
Spreadsheet.
Working in the morning or in the evening?
Morning.
Be a startup founder or employee?
Startup founder, I think.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you a lot for joining us on this digital podcast interview. It was great to speak with you and hear lots of insights about your company and the healthcare solution landscape in Sweden.
Thank you.